get going. All right, everybody. So thank you for coming. Today is the first of a handful of open forums that we'll be hosting as we transition to the NEMSIS 3.5 data set. We may have some other topics that come up along the way here. This isn't a series. If you miss one, you'll still be okay. We've got a lot of communication that we're going to be doing in the over the course of the next few months for everybody in the state of Maine, because there's some significant changes that are coming all around that touches everything, really. So buckle up and hold on, because it's going to be interesting here for the next few weeks. So introduction, my name is Jason Oko. I'm the data preparedness coordinator here at Maine Emergency Medical Services. I manage the run reporting system, the license management system, any data system that we have here. And today we are going to talk about the MEFIRS update, the transition to NEMSIS 3.5. So this is our implementation timeline. Right now, we are just before August 1st, so we are working diligently here to get things cleaned up and ready to go. Our goal is to, by August 1st, have a completed run form done, rip roaring, ready to go, all the validation rules functioning as they should, all the visibility rules functioning as they should. I've never written more patient care reports in my entire life than I have in these past few weeks, because we'll make some changes and then we'll go and test, make some changes, go and test. So that's August 1st. We're going to have a change notice that's going to come out. We're going to talk about what is NEMSIS 3.5, what is changing, and what do EMS agency leaders need to do will be addressed in that change notice for August 1st. August 15th, we're going to have some pilot agencies that are willing to start to try documenting in this data set come on board, and we'll collect feedback from those agencies, and then we'll make some changes based on that feedback, right? So as we want our clinicians to be part of the process here. On September 1st, it's our goal to have a training released on MEMSED for this, so all your EMS clinicians can log into MEMSED and take a very brief course so that they can understand what is changing in the run report, when they'll be impacted by it, and defining what's changing too. So we're not just going to say, oh, the dispositions are updating, figure it out, you'll see it, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to clearly explain what is different about the dispositions, right? And so, folks, I just want to throw this out. I don't have anyone managing this with me today, right? But the Q&A is available. If you have a question, feel free to put a question in the Q&A section. If you want to throw something in the chat, feel free to put something in the chat. If you want to raise your hand, that function is available too. You can raise your hand, and I will do my best to pay attention to hands being raised and get to everybody. And feel free to ask questions at any point in time, right? There's no particular schedule here. Thank you, Steve. I should be good. And Andrew, thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right. So the next step after September 1st, we're going to release that training on MEMSED. Folks will need to go into MEMSED. We'll tell everyone it's available too, and get that. October 1st, we're hoping that we'll be ready to go. We're going to allow some agencies, if they're willing, to start coming on to the 3.5 data set. And we may do it, 1 or 2 weeks at a clip. First third of agencies go, second third of agencies go, kind of like we did when we originally deployed MEFIRS. But the December 1st is the drop dead date. December 1st is the go live date for everybody to transition over to the NEMSIS 3.5 data set. So you'll also have a brand new protocol that day. And it's a Friday. So, all right. So that's our timeline. And I can make this slide deck available afterwards if anybody's interested in it. I will throw the I'll throw that in the thanks, Chief DeRoss. Appreciate that. I'll keep you in mind. Right. All right. So what is NEPSIS 3.5? NEPSIS 3.5 helps us to describe the entire EMS event. And it's not just about e-disposition.12. E-disposition 12 is the patient incident patient disposition. And as we progress through this, you'll see why that's changing. So what are the goals? Primary goal of the 3.5 change is to improve ability and flexibility to fully describe that EMS event. We can't do it in the data set that we have now. And we definitely couldn't do it in previous versions of the data set. So just for a historical perspective, MEFIRS was version 2 of the NEPSIS data set. MEFIRS, when it first deployed, was 3.3, and then we transitioned to 3.4, which it wasn't a magnificent, it wasn't a big change, but there was some significance to it, and 3.5 is quite a significant change. So, all right, in describing the whole EMS, like what do we need to know, right? So, I'm not going to read the entire screen to you, right? But some of the things, what type of call was it? That's based on our type of service requested. What resources were sent to the screen? What did the crew do? What level of care was provided? And on transfers, interfacility transfers is a big topic of conversation. What's the reason for the order, and what is like the criteria, the category that transfer exists in? So, and what needed improvement from 3.4, right? So what type of call is it? Mostly limited to 911, and both the transfer options, they were confusing. And even right now, as I work with as a data coordinator with agencies to query what type of responses they have in their communities, and we say, well, what's your primary coverage area? And I'm going to use Scarborough as an example because it just pops in my head. Scarborough is their primary coverage area. If they go outside of Scarborough, that may be considered mutual aid, going to a different community that's not part of their primary coverage area. Most EMS clinicians typically document that as a 911 response because, well, we've been paged by 911 to go, right? So this helps clarify that discrepancy to help EMS agencies better understand where are we going for mutual aid, where are we going for intercepts, and where is our primary coverage area, right? Determining the level of care that's provided is difficult. Right now, that's kind of broken out into a couple different elements, right? We have a CMS service level, what's the level of care of the unit, stuff like that. So you can't really break it down, but in 3.5, we'll be able to break that down a little bit further. And the incident patient disposition was collecting 3 or 4 values in one element, right? So patient dead, resuscitation attempted with transport. That's 3 different things, right? So the status of the patient, which isn't really a disposition, something that you provided about care to the patient, and then a transport disposition. So 3 things in one element, and that's confusing. So all right, moving on. So what kind of call was it? Type of service requested is e-response 5. On the right hand side of the screen, I think I'm hiding something, so let me show this way. So on this right hand side of the screen, these are the values that we have now: 911 response scene, intercept mutual aid, IFT, medical transport, public assistance standby. I believe we have PIFT and community paramedicine as well. Those are custom elements for the state of Maine. But as you can see, PIFT isn't really its own specific type of transport or type of request. They're requesting an interfacility transport that falls into here. The level of care provided would be PIFT. It wouldn't be in this type of service requested, right? And is it a hospital to hospital transfer? Is it a hospital to hospital transfer with sending staff? Or is it a critical care specialty? And then there's also some other options in here: hospital to non-hospital, non-hospital to hospital, and different levels of that, right? So it's a lot more specific, and that'll help a lot with billing purposes. And then these 3 emergency responses all have an emergency response label associated with them now in those fields. So again, folks, please feel free to ask questions along the way, and we'll go from there. All right, so what type and level of resources responded? This used to be labeled the primary role of the unit. So this replaces e-response 07. It would say ground transport, non-transport, rescue, yada yada. These are the new values associated with that: ground transport, ALS equipped, BLS equipped. Non-transport, they had ALS or BLS equipped or mobile integrated health equipped. We're not using that value in our data set. Was it a no transport? Was it a wheelchair van, a helicopter, or a fixed wing? Did the unit get to the scene, and was there patient contact? So this has been interesting in writing run reports, because when you look at the values that we have now and we see, okay, we assisted an agency, we assisted the public, we assisted a unit, all these values, right? Patient refused, all this stuff, right? They're all answered like patient contact was made. One value there, right? Under the unit disposition. And this is the first value that you'll encounter with your dispositions, is the unit disposition. And whether patient contact was made, canceled, prior to or on scene, no patient contact, or it's a non-patient incident, that really sets the tone for the remainder of the patient care report. If there was a patient, were they evaluated and treated? So these values, if you consider the disposition that we had before, you know, all these values are, we want to know, is patient evaluated and care was provided, patient evaluated, no care required, patient refused evaluation or care, or evaluated refused care, so on and so forth. These are logical options to me anyway, for the stuff that EMS clinicians do for their patients on scene. And again, having these values broken out of these different options that are our current e-disposition.12 value, or patient incident patient disposition, using these values in this way allows us to provide a much more guided experience through the patient care report based on visibility rules and other validation rules. What did the crew do? So did they initiate and continue primary care? I think this is going to be the main thing that we're going to use. Is we're going to say the patient contact was made, patient was evaluated and care provided, this crew initiated and continued primary care, and then one more value of patient was transported. So, and it replaces all of these values, but you can see by how often we're seeing these things on the right-hand side of the screen, how many different questions we can answer out of these single values, but we just can't answer them right now. And so we'll be able to answer them better moving forward with this new data set. Was the patient transported and by whom? So transported by this EMS unit with crew only. If you had another crew member, by another EMS unit, or if your crew went on another EMS unit. And then obviously the, no transport, patient refused transport values. And this is going to be a key filter when you're looking at data for how many transports did we do. So this will be able to provide that answer for you. And if they refuse care and or transport, why? This is a disposition value. We're already using this value. This isn't a brand new value. It has some new options, but released against medical advice. We provided care with or without transport. So we are already using these values in the run form. There are other values that are part of the NEMSIS 3.5 data set that I'll touch upon today, but we are already using them in the run form as custom elements, because there's some elements in the run form that Maine, in partnership with some other New England agents, state EMS offices in the past, has said, this is essential to know, and worked with our contractor ImageTrend to develop those custom elements for us. And on a national level, those elements have been found to be so useful that they promoted them from custom optional elements to national required elements. And we'll talk about some of those a little bit later on. What level of care is provided? This is a new value. Level of care of the unit is removed because it was confusing. Level of care provided per protocol is added. And then the unit transport and equipment capability is added, because that provides you with an answer of, this unit is equipped to this level and transport capability, and then this is the level of care that the crew did provide. So, and there's the options for the level of care provided per protocol. We've relabeled this to remove the intermediate from it, so it's not a thing anymore. And how sick was the patient before and after EMS care? We're already using these values. It's initial patient acuity and final patient acuity, but they're right here, adding one new value of non-acute / routine. Probably going to be more often than not used on IFTs for those. Okay. All right. So anybody have any questions right now that I can provide to answers to folks for? Don't be bashful, everybody. I know most of you, I'll call on you by name.
Hey, Jason, this is John Lennon.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a little distracted there, but in the beginning there, you said ground transport ALS equipped for the role of the unit.
Yep.
So would you select, just because I know it's going to come up down the road, because like we have both of our ambulances are ALS equipped, but they might have a BLS crew on it. So you're looking for the actual equipment level of that truck, and then later on you're going to define the treatment in that other field.
Absolutely.
All right. So no matter what call, it's going to be an ALS level truck with a BLS crew providing care.
Right. And fun fact, in your vehicles and call signs section under the resources tab in the run reporting system, you can set up the level of care of the unit right now for your agency, and it'll say, this is equipped at the ALS level or the paramedic level and so on and so forth. And it will auto populate that field in the EMS patient care report when they select that call sign. So you won't have an EMT on an ALS unit guessing if that ALS unit is EMT equipped because they're an EMT on that unit, so on and so forth.
Yep. All right. Good.
All right. Okay. So Chris Easton's asking, if a non-transport rescue arrives second and assists the ambulance, do they still need patient name and other personal identifiers, vitals, etc., as collected by the other agency? So Chris, to answer that question, I think that's all going to depend on the level of care that you're providing. I think if you say that you arrive and you're assisting the agency, I haven't gone through every single instance of combinations of dispositions. I actually don't think I'll be able to go through every single combination of them. But that is a fantastic question. And my advice to people right now is, if you're a non-transporting service and you show up after the transporting service, I usually write that run report as an agency assist, and you're not making patient contact, and you would not be required to get patient names and vitals, etc. Because the transporting crew is going to do all that, but you still want to document that you responded to that. Does that make sense to you, Dr. Easton?
Sure, it does.
Right. Sounds good. All right. Kevin, will the new value options automatically replace V3 options report writer? Okay, so this is a big deal, right? In report writer, they will not automatically replace them. They are new data elements with new data options. And so if you have reports in report writer, we will provide some guidance to you on, hey, this element, edisposition.12, that's probably the biggest one that people use as some sort of filter or criteria to say, you know, show me all the ones that are treated transported by this EMS unit, right? Well, you'll have to replace those elements in report writer to make them be make those reports work after the transition or after your agency transitions to 3.5. And I can tell you that Darren and myself have submitted course requests to teach data collection and data reporting, report writer classes at Samoset. And we've taught these classes before, even outside of that arena. So that's something that we're not going to leave people hanging, because I know that was a big point of frustration when we switched from version 2 to version 3. People saying, well, where are all my reports, right? So the nice thing about this is we're not changing systems, we're changing the data set. So your reports will still all be there. We'll just have to make some tweaks to your reports to get the validation, not the validation, the criteria correct for the report, and to return some of the newer fields. Kevin, I hope that answered your question.
It does. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, does anybody else have any questions at all? Feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to unmute and call out loud. There's more coming. There's a lot more coming. We're going to be adding some defaulted fields in the run form. We're going to be removing some defaults in the run form. There's a lot of opportunity for us to provide guardrails, I call them, when it comes to things like data quality. So I could just give you some examples of, you know, we built some guardrails to prevent patients from being born in 2035, because that date hasn't come yet. So that's impossible. But right now you can document that. Please don't go try it, but it's possible and it's frustrating. And there's some other guardrails that we're putting up. So as we are using one of the new fields, one of those fields I was talking about that the New England states has adopted is the transfer reason category. The transfer reason category is for interfacility transport, and it's a broad category to select. Are you going for cardiac specialty care, medical specialty care, neurology, surgical consult, stuff like that? We've requested a new field for that, which is post cardiac arrest, because when we take a patient from the field to a hospital that's experienced cardiac arrest, the hospital stabilizes them as best they can. And they say, okay, they need to go to a tertiary medical facility now, and EMS comes and takes them. Identifying those specific runs is difficult right now. We're able to do it through, hey, we saw this patient in the last 24 hours for an event that was labeled a cardiac arrest, and now we're seeing them again, so show us that second report. We're able to query it that way, but that's very complex to do, and people can't do it in the run form themselves, right? So that it requires an outside data querying program to do it. So we added that value of post cardiac arrest for an interfacility transfer reason category. That's one of them, and then the interfacility diagnosis is one of them that we're still going to continue to use, that we've been using since 2020, I believe, which is a free text field to describe the diagnosis that the physician is telling you. This patient is going here because of appendicitis, cholecystitis, go into the cath lab, whatever that reason may be. So we're still using those fields, but we're also putting up some guardrails in there, meaning, you know, if you're a male patient, you're probably not going for OBGYN services, right? If you're over the age of 17, or if you're 18 and up, you're probably not going for pediatric specialty care. So now that's not to say that there's not adult patients that go to pediatric hospitals. There's absolutely instances of that where if you are a pediatric patient and you begin care at a pediatric facility, even into adulthood, you might still go back to that facility for care, for follow-up care on that condition. But that's still not pediatric specialty care. It's a pediatric hospital, but not pediatric specialty care at that point anymore. So we're putting up those kinds of guardrails to make sure that things like that aren't inadvertently documented, right? So any questions, anything else I can show folks? So right now, if anybody wants to see the status of the run form right now, you're able to do so if you go to our the Maine EMS website and you go to the MEFIRS page. There's the training login that is to our demo agency, and that brings you to our demo 3.5 agency, and you can see what the run form looks like. You can see the disposition fields and how we've laid some things out a little bit differently. And I don't know if I'm in love with the first page yet, so there might be changes to that coming. So not a definitive final work product, but getting closer every day. And the validation and the visibility on it is pretty darn good right now. So yeah, so I'd like to say thank you to everybody. Absolutely for coming. Few more things, right? So one, for agency administrators, one of the things to consider in this is, you know, if you're an agency administrator and you have billing exports or any exports that you've built out or that you've purchased from ImageTrend, and you know, have any workflows set up like that, part of that change notice that's going to come out will say you need to reach out to those agencies that are on the recipient end of that export, like your billing company and so on and so forth, to advise them that your agency in Maine EMS is transitioning to the NEMSIS 3.5 data set. And this is what's different in that. Because if they're relying on those dispositions for billing, then they're going to start to see different fields. And we don't want to mess with your money. So it's important that I don't know who everybody has a billing export with, or who does everybody's billing. Everybody does things a little bit differently here and there. So it's going to be up to agency leadership to facilitate that conversation between those agencies. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I'm supposed to log out of that. So we'll advise folks. We'll have a checklist for you to share before going live, that you can say, okay, do we have a billing export? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. We need to let them know. Right. And so you can take care of that. And then the other biggest thing is going to be the report writer. If you have reports, if you have scheduled reports, if you have stuff like that, you'll have to update those reports. So who has questions, additional questions? Fantastic. So this is recorded. So come December 1st, when we switch over, everyone will be like, oh, I'm very happy that this change occurred today. That was a joke. Feel free to laugh. Thank you, Stephen. All right, folks, I know your time is valuable. this is scheduled for 2 hours and in hopes that folks have some questions to ask us about things and to have some back and forth with folks. I know it was short notice today, but we're going to do it again next Tuesday, same time, same place. And so we'll send out a reminder on Tuesday morning to folks to say, hey, this is happening today. We'll have more information for you. We'll show you some things in the run form. We'll have that checklist probably ready to go next week. And in between now and then, if folks have an opportunity to log into that demo agency and start taking a look at that run form, feel free to do so. And thank you all for your time today. And I hope everybody stays safe and enjoys the wonderful weather. Have a great day.